Welcome back to my very first impressions video for Titan Quest's Early Access version. With this being my first time to this format, it is a bit rougher than I'd like, but I did my best during editing to keep the information flowing as well as I could. It's surprisingly a lot harder to show and tell at the same time than one might think, so please don't be too harsh on me. That means, except for this re-recorded intro, the content is unscripted and my only reference is a bullet list of items that I want to talk about. With that said, let's get to it. Here we are in the game, and the first thing something that every other game usually has is when you play. In this game, when you play, you have to select your character and then load the game. All other games have a continue option. I would really like to see that. The second thing, and that is something you should immediately enable, because it was very confusing for me as an older Diablo player. The default input preset, well, is probably default. I would change it to WASD. Now I never controlled Diablo with the WASD keys, but there is one thing that doesn't work when you use the default scheme. In Diablo, I was used to holding the shift key, then stand my ground and just punch in every direction that I can find. The WASD scheme is much more akin to the old Diablo control scheme, even if you're just using the mouse. There was something wrong with the overall default setting that I didn't like. Speaking of WASD, the map, I would like it if you could control it with WASD. Currently, you always have to use the mouse to scroll around. Luckily, it's very intuitive. Left click grabs the map, then you can move it. So that's fine. Another thing that I would like is, assume that is a little bit further out. You can go in, look at your character, but that's all you can go out. So I would like that improved, but it's not really necessary. It's maybe just I like to see more. I just like to see more. So, and the last thing, well, I don't really have anything in my inventory. The last thing regarding just user experience is I would like an option to mark items as junk, so I can quickly sell them. When I walk to a vendor.
Well, sir, we managed. I'll sell you what I can.
That's so nice of you. You have to sell each item individually. If you pick up stuff and already looking if it's better than your other gear, then I would usually mark stuff as junk in this process. And then just go to a vendor, sell it all, and then head on back out. Right now you can't do that. You pre-sort your items just to find out if it's better than your current gear, and if it's not, then you have to go through your inventory again when you're selling stuff. I have two passives. One is the Storm Nimbus, and this has a tendency to just zap random items in the world. It isn't always, but it's often enough. Yeah, like that. So this even happens when you're in safe areas, like in a camp in the city or wherever else. And if you're in the middle of a conversation and your lightning zaps, and this zap interrupts the conversation. One thing that the game didn't tell me, and this was something I was wondering about when testing the game initially on Linux, you do kind of have an infinite amount of health pots, but actually there is, so you don't have to buy anything, you don't have to craft anything. You have two immediately available to you, but when they're used, you have to fight and engage with enemies. They do not, well, maybe they refill over time. And as you can see right now I have one. If I attack those turtles and they don't kill me first. Now there's two. I have to use one. So in order to refill your health pots, you have to actually engage in combat. So you can't just run away. Another thing, this location, so that's the second location after the tutorial. I don't remember how much I I think I was still in the tutorial area looking at this game on Linux. And the tutorial area I think was not the hardest. It was nice, it was easy breezy, a little bit of challenge. This area is a lot more difficult. Ow. I have run into situations where enemies just more or less one-shot me because there was a group of enemies. Let's say a few random spiders start attacking me, run towards me, explode in front of me, and then there's 2 or 3 other melee enemies which are also hitting me at the same time, and then it's bam and dead. So enemies are a lot spongier and deal a lot more damage. So that's maybe a little bit of a balancing issue. But it's not frustrating or anything. It's just something to know that this game gets a little bit harder in this area. This might be a very personal thing. I think this area is too big. I'm not sure if the game will continue with this large area approach or if there will be separate areas divided by cutscenes like we had the tutorial area and now this area. If it's a continuous level design approach, then okay, fine, I'm quiet. And this is just it. I think that was also the case in Titan Quest 1. But if it's still separated by loading screens and then you're in a completely different biome, then I think it's a little bit too big. I don't want to say it wore out its welcome already, but at some point I was really thinking, man, I'd like to get to an end at some point. This is really large. How much further do I have to go? Oh yeah, that was the exploding one. They are dangerous as hell. Yeah, I noticed the bug. There's this one guy at the Enclave. If I talk to him, he has one option. How can I help? It looks like a quest option. It has this quest sign in front of it. Every time I click it, the conversation just ends. Not sure why. Now, on to the technology. So, first of all, if you disable all upscaling and use temporal anti-aliasing, you shouldn't do that. This option should actually be removed and only upscaling options should be available, which all have a native option. There are so many options I just said. Now the reason I say that, I hope it comes across, there's a lot of smearing, even yeah, there's so much ghosting. I hope you can see it in the video. Maybe I have to find out how to zoom in DaVinci Resolve. But it's clear that this is very distracting. I would not want to play with this. And it's especially noticeable in foliage. Even if you just enable Unreal TSR, crank it to 100%, which is essentially native. Yeah, this is... I don't want to say it really goes away. There is still a little bit, but maybe that's just because of the foliage, the way it's animated in general. But the giant long trails, they're gone. Speaking of TSR, what I do like is this resolution scale. Now it makes it a little bit harder for novices who don't really know about the scaling factors of those upscalers, like quality in DLSS or FSR is 66%, the balance is I think somewhere around 60, and 50% is performance. But if you have a relatively powerful GPU which is just on the edge of a high refresh rate, like I'm at in the 70s right now, I don't want to go down to quality because that's too much, especially with FSR. Maybe NVIDIA, different story. But now I can set 80%, and I would actually recommend that. You have the graphics horsepower. I don't really notice anything visually in the image. It still looks incredibly sharp and crisp with the frame rate. In this scene alone, it's like 20 FPS higher. So I consider this a great compromise of a little bit of upscaling without essentially a quality loss, but getting a lot more performance out of it. This plays great. 90 FPS is a high refresh rate enough for this kind of game. Yeah, maybe you already noticed. Wait, why am I a spider now? Huh. Yeah, but there was a little bit of stuttering when this effect happened. Ah, yeah, again, stuttering. I don't think in this case it was shader compilation. Let's see. No, it's not shader compilation, because I've done it a couple of times, so the shaders should be pre-cached, even if this happened the first time. It's the age-old issue of Unreal Engine games. It's the traversal stuttering, and this game has a lot of it. Let's see if we can force it just by roaming around, exploring the world further. Yeah, there's just a little bit of stuttering all the time. Hooah! Oh, seating is like same thing? Same thing. Oh, so this is probably the other side. And again, that's absolutely repeatable. Stuttering when you cross this threshold. Unreal Engine 5 issues. They already existed in Unreal 4. I hope that newer versions, especially the one that they co-developed, let's say co-developed with CDPR for the Witcher 4 demo, that this fixes a lot of those issues. This traversal stutter is so annoying. The reason why I'm on Windows is this game has no support for FSR 4 yet. I hope they add it. I gave that as a feedback, but you can enforce it via OptiScaler. That's the one option you have in Windows, is to use OptiScaler. So first of all, let's enable FSR, but XeSS should work as well as an input. OptiScaler can work with both. And now in Windows, I already have it downloaded. This is the extracted OptiScaler zip file that you can download from GitHub. Copy everything into the folder where the main executable is. Now this is an Unreal Engine game, so it isn't this one. You have to go into TQ2, binaries, Win64, and now if you don't know, Control L gets you into this location bar, and if you type CMD, you open a terminal right here in this folder. Or the other option would be open a terminal with a right click. OptiScaler comes with a setup button. Execute that. It will ask a few questions. This game, I think, works with the default of 1. I found other games where you have to use WinMM, but I'm not sure how that all works. Sometimes you just have to try it. So DXGI, I'm using an AMD GPU, trying to use DLSS. That's something for games that only have DLSS. Then you can mimic the DLSS inputs. You probably need a separate DLL for that, which they explain on the GitHub wiki. I'm not using DLSS inputs, no. Okay, now it should be set up, run the game again. And the way that we know that OptiScaler is installed, you press the insert key on your keyboard, then this window comes up. And now we should be able to select FSR 3.x as the upscaler, and then under FSR settings you can select different versions. And since I'm on a 9070 XT, you can use FSR 1. Now let's save this, hit insert again, and play. Visually, there's a big difference. I usually play on Windows, not on Linux, so I don't test FSR 4 much. And also with my recent playthrough of Mafia: The Old Country, I actually found issues with FSR 4 that were absolutely game-breaking, so ended up using TSR instead, which isn't perfect either, but it was not game-breaking. Now, the general sentiment and opinion about the game. I like it. I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm very keen to finishing the early access and learning more more about the story and the gameplay and finishing the game as a whole. I just noticed that I'm playing as a rogue, and I feel that playing as a rogue, you're very weak. The rogue skills don't have as much impact as the lightning skill. I basically killed them all with the lightning and a few slashes. So again, that's a balancing thing. The overall gameplay experience is very fun though. Exploring the world, there are some side quests. Some of them are quite interesting, very small, self-contained, and nothing too enormous, but more than just go there, fetch this, bring it back. There's a little bit of character development involved. Not of your main character, you're just somebody running around killing things, but the people you talk to, the NPCs. There's a little bit more backstory. It's not just a dumb Ubisoft Assassin's Creed fetch quest, at least not always. Maybe there are some, I don't know. But the combat is fun. I like the movement skills. That's a step up from Diablo, where it just run. There's only running. At least the last Diablo I played was Diablo 3, but the latest I have not yet experienced Diablo 4, so this is very new for me, and I like it. Makes the combat a little bit more dynamic, and that's the only reason why this difficulty works at all, because you can immediately flee. The skill system, I'm somebody who has trouble with very deep skill systems, so I cannot explain everything. I don't know if this is a very deep system or if it's just a shallow thing. For me, it's okay right now, and you can spend your points either in some global attributes. You don't distribute them across individual elements like strength or vigor or dexterity or anything or magic. You have these overarching themes, and then they apply to secondary attributes, both health points, or might is just probably for warriors, more strength, more fitness, so you can use heavy armor. Or for me, since I'm a rogue, I use agility, dump many of my points in there. And then there are the masteries. You have divinity points, which level up your mastery, which in my case, again, rogue or storm. And you have some core abilities. And active points apply to core, the left side of the rogue, or generally the left side of those masteries. And on the right side you have passive points for bonus buffs, like increasing barrier, increasing damage. And additionally, you can add modifiers. There are a few modifiers that aren't well explained. Yeah, like rage. There are concepts like rage, like overload, like flow, that you can consume by using some abilities, and you can build up by other abilities. It's not really explained anywhere. It's just sometimes it says gains rage, gains overload, or consumes. It also doesn't really show in the gameplay where how much flow, how much overload, how much rage do I have, when is it consumed. Also, this mark for death skill, I don't see if I have an enemy mark. So those are issues that the developers should work a little bit on. I don't know if I've already mentioned it in my first Linux gameplay video. You can respec anytime you want. That's very cool. So this makes it easy to modify your build, maybe to tailor more towards certain types of enemies, or just play around if you like that. I usually don't play around. I like to find one thing that works and works for everything. But if you like testing different builds, testing different abilities, you have total freedom except for those masteries. I don't think you can refund them here, but there are other gameplay elements where you have to find some specific items and then bring them to shrines where you can respec, I think, also your masteries, but I'm not sure about that. Yeah, what else do I have to say? I'm not sure. I think this was enough rambling and good first impressions, so it's fun. I have a lot of fun, and I look forward to playing more. And I'm pretty happy that I entered the early access. I really am. That's the first game that I did it, and I don't regret it. Anyway, that's it. I'll stop rambling without any rhyme or reason. I hope this was a little bit interesting, a little bit entertaining. Probably not, and I hope to catch you in a different video. Bye bye.